Hey! That voice. Hey! I want to pick up you. Where did the other guy go? Or you can finish your HDMI now. You want to watch sports? Innova home. Innova home? Are you Innova home?
So what ultimately happens is when the erection comes on, blood flow goes in and out.
I can literally see a
veins which normally make the blood come out. They close, and you ultimately end up with a blood flow all the way in, and you can go from nothing going on to something, right? So let's talk about what we can do naturally to make sure that more of that is happening. Now, I'm going to go through this with you, but I also want you to know that I don't want you to go overdose on them and then take Viagra. Because actually, Viagra is based on scientific information. You want to show your child, right? Things that we know about. So if get rid of it, took too much of
that's it, where's the picture?
we can have an incident of erection. All of this information that I'm giving you is trying to get.
It doesn't leave. Oh my god.
For doctors and physicians are using like 25 people in group.
No, not yet.
Then go home.
I'll call to the day when I feel it.
Guiding masturbation to what?
Stop watching stuff like that. So much Law and Order.
Just shut your butt.
That's more than what you bargained for.
My job description didn't say get raped by Lurker.
Then email these things.
That sounds like you had a good day.
What? But you email people thing. If you type faster than you know how to do it.
No.
You're out today. We tomorrow we have you still like to you and the rest come over. But those things you can don't start a stop.
I'll just have to go.
Hey, Mom? Nanya? Is it star 82? Hello, it's Michael. It's 2:20. I just want to tell you that you might have some instruction or thinking about the log for number 644961749. Thank you.
I had to look at the foundations of use. starting with aesthetic design to the way boss mechanics are enhanced or attractive
Are we going out or what?
all the way to the mechanics of the arenas themselves. With that, I was able to give us
Yeah, but you're watching this now.
biggest boss arena.
I wanted to watch the other thing, but
Let's take a dive into the deep end. Let's give our return sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends, a look. For those who missed out, Raid is a dark fantasy RPG taking the mobile landscape by storm with over 10 million players worldwide. The inevitable a campaign with a deep storyline, raids with friends, a full PvP arena, and it's completely free to play. It's been awesome having a top-notch game to play anytime, anywhere, but don't take my word for it. Check their near-perfect rating with over 300,000 reviews. The game's momentum shows no signs of slowing down with a new roadmap for the next 6 months, featuring a new tag team arena and bosses that will provide lots of entertainment for you and your friends. Get another fun, click the link in the description to download Raid. And new players that join in the next 30 days will receive 100,000 free silver, a one-day XP boost, and a pet. Number 10, Moonlight Butterfly. Moonlight Butter doesn't fly, you idiot, and neither do I. I just can't pass up the opportunity to pile on how I hate nearly every aspect of this glorified mosquito every chance I get. Guilty Line says it all. I take huge exception to the fact that this can float in the air for what feels like decades while I'm turning gray and wait on the bridge for it to grace me with its presence. The arena itself doesn't matter if you're a ranged build, just dodge and fire until it's over. But if you're a melee build, it's a waiting game on a boring bridge. How cool would the fight have been if you had to run through some kind of rising obstacle course while the butterfish floated ahead of you shooting various rays of magic? Then eventually you could reach a peak and fire arrows to knock it down, kind of like the Dragon God without the stealth. But it's actually good. To me, there was so much creativity that could have been done in terms of an arena to make the fight more exciting for all builds. But instead it's a trial and staying awake waiting for the butter to finally land. The boss may be imbalanced and boring mechanically on its own, but the arena only compounds the issue, making it worse. Number 9, Old Iron King. Old Iron King's hole. He beat again. Every godforsaken flavor. But outside the hole's unsettling gravitational pull, you might think there's little wrong with the arena. And you'd be half right. The other problem I have is a case of tiny island syndrome. Do me a favor and close your eyes. I want you to think of a giant, beefed-up, demonic monster. There's only two functions. There's to eat and fist you, or fry you either by eating you into the nearby lava pool, or roasting you with his fire breath. Now imagine what type of arena a boss with such mechanics would have. Considering he's a giant with the range you'd expect to accompany that, his ability to punch or fling you is based on quite a large proximity. So you match that with an arena that is hardly the size of a beef's dick, you get an immediate problem. There's not enough room to provide a fair margin for air to dodge many of the king's attacks, at least when compared to his peers. Mulling this over, you'll realize that this is less about overcoming the boss and more about overcoming the arena. The real boss isn't the king, it's avoiding the lava. And that's not what I booked my ticket for when I enter a fog game. In my mind, the developers got enamored with the idea of creating a fight based around an arena, and as you'll see in some of today's entries, that not only makes for a crafty arena, but also a lackluster boss. Number 8, Throne Watcher and Defender. In a polar opposite to our previous entry, Throne Watcher and Defender's arena is massive. In this case, the problem isn't the size, but the structure. While there may be ample room to maneuver, that's only the base of what is needed in a fight like this. When tasked with fighting more than one boss on your own, you need something, anything, to break up aggro. To say some stuff after learning this already, you would go further than Orsiner's Smoke. There are two direct things that make this imbalanced fight work. One, the contrasting speed between Orsiner's Smoke's movement, and two, there are pillars in the arena that you can use to break up aggro and isolate each of them. For Throne Watcher and Defender, there is the contrast between their speed, so that they're both solidly there within their own mechanical design. The failure here is the arena. There's absolutely nothing here to break up aggro and isolate them other than to run around like a chicken with its head cut off and hope for the best. It's a baffling design decision when you consider that not only Ornstein and Smoke set the standard in the previous game, but there are loads of solid examples in the same damn game. Elfry Gargoyles. They come one by one, which at least gives you the opportunity to not get gangbanged if you have the TPS. Burnt Ivory King. You're rewarded by exploring the level for help to clear the odds out before the fight, which may be optional, but it at least exists as a choice. Dark Lurker. The second boss doesn't spawn until you're halfway into the first health bar, giving you a head start at the least, and an opportunity to totally melt a person immediately at your best. Alana the Swallowed Queen works as a caster and gives you moments of reprieve between your attack to fight her minions, unless you get health stack. Gang Squad. An obstacle course with 2 levels that helps you run wildly to split them up, plus the archer sticks behind. Mud and Zaylan, the same as Dark Lurker. Proud of Vegas and Congregation. Royal Rat Authority. The rats die quickly enough to make it one-on-one, or you do. Royal Rat Vanguard. Statue up in the punching bag of a boss as a static slug point you can use your advantage. Ruined Sentinels. You have the option to stay on higher ground, or shoot the free Sentinels without leaving the skeleton. There are 2 piles to kite skeletons around while breaking the boss's line. Twin Dragon Riders. One starts on higher ground with a ranged build to keep them split, and the archer has far less HP. And finally, Throne Watcher and Defender. They bump for about 2 seconds, keeping them split up, and sometimes will stand still doing nothing in a random inconsistency that leaves no room for actual strategy. Whether it be the arena, an external factor, or a design feature, every single game fight in this game gives you some strategic angles to work with. But since Throne Watcher and Defender lack that in any single gameplay with their design, they are begging for some kind of boundaries in the arena to help break aggro. I'm going to assume that this lapse in developer judgment comes from the arena being used for 2 more bosses following this duo. There's a simple solution though, this having a few boundaries
Get the squeeze that I think that's go up right away.
It's a real shame because I do enjoy this boss, but they're held back by this failure in arena design.
Like how long the end?
Number 7, Mikolash, Host of the Nightmare. In a way, you could argue that Mikolash's arena has an advantage that few others in the series have. It's more of a mini area than a boss arena. When you start, you're enclosed in a relatively small space with a few basic mobs and end in a small room where you fight the boss. But once you whittle down half of his HP, the rest of the arena opens up and there are deviations for loot that have nothing to do with the boss whatsoever. I think this is meant to throw you off as part of the puzzle aspect of hunting down Mikolash, and it works to disorient you and waste your resources on basic enemies. Then once you finally find Mikolash, you're stuck in a square room once again to finish the fight. Here are my problems. While I appreciate that the arena wants to add to the mystery, when I get to a boss, I'm not looking for a pseudo area. Part of my reward for making it to the boss is being done fighting basic bitches. Then consider that once you've done the fight once, there is no mystery. You know exactly where to go, and you're liable to ignore the other paths, making them worthless on repeat runs. Finally, trapping you in a small room with Mikolash at the end when you can use a call beyond is brutal. Not to mention you're forced to take an immediate dip in HP just to drop into the second arena. There are too many pieces here that just don't work for me. And that's aside from Mikolash being lackluster as a boss already. But at least he feels like a boss, unlike the host of our next arena. Number 6, Ancient Wyvern. Take everything I just said about the problems with Mikolash and apply them to the Wyvern. Then consider you're not even rewarded with a boss battle, but a one-hit wham wham. That's a disappointment to be sure, but the real reason the Wyvern finds itself above Mikolash is the run-up to it. For Mikolash, you have the option to run past it and off to minimal difficulty. The Wyvern was clearly designed to force you to fight all those little dragon ships to get to it. In fairness, unlike Mikolash, making it to the Wyvern once is a near guaranteed kill, assuming you don't blow the drop. Still, I hate that the concept of the boss was to make the arena a mini area chock full of standard enemies ended with a flat note that can hardly be considered a boss fight. Much like the old Iron King, I think this is a case of developers being excited by turning the idea of a boss battle on its head by making the actual challenge the run-up, but it leaves me frustrated with the arena and dissatisfied with its conclusion. Number 5, Mytha the Painful Queen. Considering FromSoft's undying love for poisoning its areas, it's a wonder there aren't more poison arenas. Unfortunately, Mytha is here to fill that hole. That's really all there is to it. It's a circular arena, nothing exciting about it, but it's full of poison. That is unless you happen to know how to take a torch and light a watermill nearby, because that makes total sense. If you do, you'll drain the majority of the poison, leaving a solid circle to battle on, but unless you're some kind of exploratory savant or use the internet, I'd wait till you would figure out how to drain it on your first playthrough. The only reason it isn't higher on the list is because veteran players will be able to avoid this downside, but I think the thought behind it for fresh experiences deserves this dishonorable mention. Number 4, Maiden Destroy. If we're gonna rag on Mytha's poison arena, then it's fair to give Maiden Destroy the same treatment. When you enter, you have 3 options. Option 1 is to go to the top right of the arena and help Destroy with arrows until she dies. In other words, the boring option. Option 2 is to go to the left side and take on the Pancake King while positioned on a tiny cliff. In other words, the painful option. Option 3 is to go down the middle through the swamp that gives you the plague immediately upon touch and summons an ungodly amount of skinless babies to devour you. In other words, the bullshit option. So you can subject yourself to boredom, pain, or bullshit. Pick your play. In terms of lore, Maiden Destroy being protected at the heart of the plague-ridden land by those she sought to appeal is matched well by the aesthetics and mechanics of the aforementioned options, but that doesn't mean they work well in practice. Ending the fight with your bow is anticlimactic, overly easy, and shouldn't be an option. Fighting villains to get to her is awesome, but the narrow cliff you face him on hampers your options in what would otherwise be an exciting battle. And the final option feels downright impossible. I'm sure it's good courage to fight Finland, but it doesn't make it any better. Plus, I have to say the play is overtubing against you, and those babies are too grotesque for my taste. Of all the bosses on today's list, this is undoubtedly my favorite, and it's not even close. But the quality of the arena and the options within does not do the tragedy of killing it justice. Number 3, Centipede Demon. It's Old Iron King the prequel. When you enter the arena, you'll find yourself landlocked on a tiny piece of land match with an outrageously large lava expanse. There is an optional area to the side that is much larger, but more often than not, you'll die in the lava shrine to reach it. You can't get the orb shard ring by cutting off the tail of the demon, but it requires getting a specific attack. The problem compared to the Old Iron King is that the centipede doesn't stay locked to the land nearby, but instead loves to hang out in the middle of the lava pool and attack from afar. On the flip side, it doesn't only stay in the lava, so it will come on your tiny turf and start stomping all over your head in a nightmare for your camera. Finally, pour one out for the majority of players who have their eyes assaulted by the blinding neon orange lava the base game is plagued with. Everything about the arena serves to work against you in this fight, particularly as a melee player, and that's more than enough to land it inside the top 3. Number 2, Capture Demon. Capture Demon itself is not a bad boss mechanically. Far from it. I actually like all the different moves it throws at you. It has great visual design, and it amps up the pressure in all the right ways. But that's the problem. Its moveset and aggression hits the perfect amount of pressure on its own. So when you add a Q-Dog to chip away your health and attention in the beginning, that's a problem. Then consider that you're shoved into an arena the size of a shoebox that amplifies everything to a level of terrible that is nearly unrivaled. In my mind, there is no doubt FromSoft was trolling with the arena design. The small size, the dog duo, and the skiing chapter were meant to fluster you in an ill-intentioned way, and they succeeded. The only saving grace is the staircase. A weird rhyme, but true nonetheless. You can use the stairs to split up the dogs and capper to make the battle one-on-one quickly, but it's still a claustrophobic shit show. If it weren't for the absurd level of trolling FromSoft did with the final arena, this would be the undisputed worst boss arena in the franchise. And the number 1 worst boss arena in the franchise, Bed of Chaos. If you think about it, the Bed of Chaos wouldn't be all that bad if it weren't for the arena. Imagine running from side to side, only having to deal with frequent attacks from a stationary boss, then fighting through interesting barriers to entry to the bug within. It might not be perfect, but it sure as hell would be better than the ground crumbling from beneath you met with lanky arms to sweep you in. Put bluntly, this is not a platformer. This would work in a platforming game, but this is not a platforming game. I fully believe the developers designed this fight intending for you to die at least once, and just like Capra, they intended for it to be cheap and frustrating. The one taking grace here is that your progress isn't reset upon death, but that's a boss design decision, not the arena. The arena is the core of what makes the Bed of Chaos the horrendous experience that it is, and that's more than enough to earn the worst boss in the franchise's arena the title of worst arena in the franchise. But of course, that's just my opinion. What boss arenas in the Soul series are your least favorite? Let us know in the comments.
Spider-Man, didn't know that your mom's in
Never know. His was very my guy. There's so many emotions I couldn't afford to keep going. I lost. So far.
When was the last time you saw me?
I don't know, 6 months. I told myself the one good thing was I'd never have to put these words back. And I didn't. And now I never will.
This guy had a ring with the women. All sex all the time. It's gonna be some $5 t-shirt, $20 sex worth of bread.
And his model slash girlfriend slash whatever was time attack.
According to us, the building surrounds him with those who recognize themselves. Then it stopped working.
Well, that's a coincidence.
She left the apartment door ajar to get back in. The building door had a keypad lock. That's what made it not work.
Drawn in the glass.
You were ATM, so I took the cash in at 35.
The drug gets my elbow.
Shot you.
Oh, no thanks. When I get my long answer.
Hey, Mom. Sorry. Just get a little baby job. Little baby job.
Somebody grab.
Late? Dad, what are you doing? I think it's you. Celia, where's my Celia, Papa? Hey, up here, you want to come out here?
Ben?
That's what I said.
No, you go and get your fruit. I don't like fruit. No, give me that.
So mean, so selfish.
I wonder what that is.
I put up here on that. You up here, you want to come out? Get you! Guys, go!
Opo ate. Na-remember ko lang kasi tomorrow po meron kami yung meron po punta dito ayusin yung inayos nila sa dito po. Hindi po kasi between 12 and 4:30. Nasa 13 po. Patrawin ng job pa. Thank you very much.
that. First on the car over all the money. They actually want to look at. For that is Tom Bissell, the subset for the record. Other people.
Move the camera around.
That guy's lagging.